going into open heart surgeries. And it's because the leaders of the company I was working at put a lot of trust in me to go and represent them in the field and collect that kind of feedback and bring it to the engineering team and say, how do we design and engineer a better product? And that was a very formative experience for me, because what I learned was if you aren't interfacing with your real users, the nurse, for example, and seeing how they interact with your product, then you miss major opportunities for insight. You have to be talking to the humans who are on the other end of whatever technology you're creating. And that's true in a surgical environment. It's true in a manufacturing environment. It's true for software technology. If you're not actually meeting your human user where they're at, then there's a very good chance you engineer a product that might technically work, but it doesn't solve their problem.
Wow.
Because you've missed that human experience. But I think the fallacy there is that when the rubber hits the road and that person on the other end of the screen, or the person who's deploying your technology in their warehouse or wherever they might be, then you find the usability problems crop. But the reality is, if it's not usable, if it's not intuitive, if it isn't actually solving a workflow issue, then you're not going to have it be adopted in many cases. And I think that's where designers, engineers, developers, you need this cross-functional team to work together so that you're not missing one of those facets.
I'm thinking that actually people are still going to want to know and talk to people, especially when they have a problem, right? There will be the need to, even if it's less humans, there'll be a need to be more intentional about how you're designing something that actually is not human. But then you got to still make sure you're looking at humans.
So no matter how good the AI agent is, if the rest of your business systems are antiquated, or maybe your data's not structured, you're not on cloud, your own human managed processes aren't efficient, your agentic AI can only go so far.
Like, you're essentially raising a thinking individual here that will go off and make decisions. And you need to root it in your philosophies. You need to have ethical guidelines. And more importantly, you as an organization hopefully have some guidelines.
And so when we are having to explain this to lawmakers or to regulators, to the FDA, or to the human who's trying to use the system, maybe it's a manufacturing operator, we have to be able to explain, here's why the algorithm chose to make this certain decision.
Exactly.
What we're asking that person to do is, how do I apply my skills as a designer to think about what problems the world needs solved and ask the right questions to get me to a reasonable, practical solution to solve that problem?
So I think the answer to that is, you have to replace artificial intelligence with something that can never be artificial.